So, good people, before you start building a house, I want you to listen to this because it will help you a lot. It will help you prevent mistakes. It will help you avoid or prevent risks that are associated with building a house. I have experienced this personally, and these insights, I believe, can help someone who is intending to build a house. So number one, so many people don't talk about planning, but I will tell you this: planning is the key. If you want to successfully build a house, you need to plan. You need to start planning. So the first thing you need to plan is the objectives. For most people, if you are building your own residential house, the objective is to deliver a completed house that is habitable. The objective is not just to deliver any structure. I've seen so many people starting construction project and they just end without them seeing the fruits of their labor. So construction work, building a house, will require you to have very clear objectives, that you want a house that you can inhabit. If you want to move from a rental apartment, by delivering a house that is complete, you will be able to shift from your rented apartment to your new house. Even if it means finishing the ground floor, it is very much possible that you finish the ground floor, maybe 1 room or 2 rooms, and start living at that particular place. So planning is very important because you clearly define what are the objectives of this particular project. Then another thing I want to point out about planning is you must try and plan for site visit. Even if you have already acquired the property, the land, it is important to make site visits so that you are certain that this is the right place that you are going to build your house. I had a story of somebody who built a house in a neighbor's plot, and it ended up very badly because that person, the neighbor, was a very uncaring or unkind person, or he did not want to resolve the issue. So he just waited for the guy to complete the house. Then later on he started contesting, saying that you build in my property. So it ended up in a very bad case. So if you want to prevent this, make sure you visit the place. Make sure that you try and talk to the people on the ground. Who are the neighbors at that place? Maybe in Kenya we have the Nyumba Kumi guys. You talk with them, then you show them the map. Is it the right map for me to construct based on the documents that I have, based on the title deed, based on the map of that particular plot? So site visits are very important before you even start constructing the house. You can also take note of some resources that are available once you start making the site visit. For example, if your neighbor has already built a wall, that's already an advantage if you are in Kiambu County. If your neighbor already has rental houses, for example, there was the place I was working, we had a neighbor who had already constructed single rooms where our caretaker could find a place to stay, and we also found a very easy place for storing our materials. This is very important. It will help you save the costs. Once you identify a nearby location where you can be storing your materials, and this should be maybe something less than 50 meters or 100 meters, something like that can be very conducive for you to store your materials and ensure that they are safe during the construction process. So number 2, You are also going to plan for resources. People are extremely important. You cannot build a house without people. And in Kenya, people play a very important role in building and construction. When you are building a house, you have to learn how to hire people, how to involve other people. People will be involved in construction. People can also give you inputs, their ideas. For example, there was a project I was working with a client, and the neighbor, there was a neighbor who was very good. He usually came to the site. He came to the site and he could maybe try and give us some advices on how to manage people, how to hire our construction workers. He was also very good in interpreting the building plan. So building a rapport with such a person was very good, but be careful. Not every idea should be incorporated in your plan. You have to make the right decision when making the final decision about what to include or what to exclude in your plans. Budget. A construction project, building a house has to involve a budget. So many people try to get into building houses without a budget, and this can be quite a big challenge. You start building a house without a budget, and you will end up with so many problems like stress and anxiety, especially when you start getting the quotations from the engineers, quotations from the suppliers, and so on. You will be shocked. Whatever you are thinking in your head, if you don't have a written budget, you will get into so much trouble. Budgeting is not an easy thing, and for me, I experienced using tools that really helped me to prepare budgets, and this ensured that we saved a lot in terms of the resources. For example, when you budget, you will take note how many workers are going to do the concrete work for the foundation, how many workers are going to do the excavation, okay? And you compare, does it make sense? This prevents somebody from maybe telling you that excavation will require 20 people. And you see, when people tell you such things and you had budgeted for 10 people, you start questioning. So budgets are very important. Budgets can be discussed. If you are the project manager, you can discuss budgets with your client, and this is a very good practice because it prevents loss of funds. It prevents diversion of funds meant for the project. For example, most people lose funds when they trust their relatives. In Kenya, we have people who are working abroad, people who are working in the Middle East, and they keep sending funds, they keep sending money to the local people, to their relatives at home. For example, somebody is interested in building a house of maybe 2 million, and he sends the money to his brother or even parent, and the parents end up diverting those resources, those funds, to other things. So this can happen because of lack of budgeting skills. When you have a budget, you have a way of monitoring and releasing the funds, so that you ensure that whatever you are giving out, whatever you are disbursing to the person who is in charge of the project, is using those funds correctly. It's also a good thing because it will help you in monitoring the progress. You send me 500,000. What have I done with it during the week or month? So you have to plan for budgets. Who will prepare the budget, and how should that budget be prepared, and so on. Then another important thing you need to plan for is compliance. For compliance, you cannot build a house in Kenya without compliance. You will get into trouble. There are already people who are in charge of enforcement, And don't think that even if you go into remote areas that you can build without being noticed. I realize that the county governments have people who are like informants. Whenever you start a building, they will always come for you after 1 or 2 days, and they will start asking for those compliance documents. So ensure that you meet the compliance requirements. So for you to start the requirement, it takes time. You need to plan for it. For example, in Kenya, it can typically take for around 1 week to 3 weeks before you get the approval from the county government. So we are saying that with the compliance, you have to know the requirements. For the county governments in Kenya, you need to have a title deed. A title deed and a map for you to start the process of asking for compliance from the Department of Planning. And this can be time consuming. So if you start the process early enough, you will be able to start constructing your building within the time that you have intended or the time that you have planned for. So you have to make physical visits to the county government offices so that you can start the process. Then when it comes to compliance, you will need permits for building, and you also need approvals. The approvals you will get a permit to build a house in that area. That is a very important document. Then your plan. Once you have been given the go ahead to build a house, you also have to present a plan. A plan comes from the architect, the person who is in charge of drawing the plan of your house. So don't think that you can build a house. You can just go to a friend and get a plan and start implementing it. You have to present your plan to the county government, and they will give you approval to start constructing the project. If you don't do that, if you ignore this important step, if you start building your own house, those people will come for you and they will demand money. They will start demanding for bribes, or else your building will be stopped. And they can really harass you because they know that you are ready. Maybe you are loaded with the finances, you are loaded with money, and you want to build a house. So the moment people see you that you want to build a house, they already have a mindset that this guy has money, and they will start extorting left and right. They will start harassing you. They will even arrest your construction workers if you are not very careful. If you are not cooperating with them, they will do all manner of things to you, and this can be an obstacle. This can be a major setback towards your project. These people can even bring bad omen to your plan. So ensure that you have compliance. Also under compliance, you have to ensure that that title or that property has paid the land rate dues. The land rates are very important. Most people in Kenya obtain title deeds, but they fail to check the land rates. So if the property has not paid the land rates, you have to clear those balances before you get the approval, before your building gets a clean deal of health to start the construction project. So there is so much we can talk about planning, and planning is everything. If you plan properly, if you plan very well for your building, then you will end up achieving your objective. But if you fail to plan, then you are planning to fail in building your house. So I think that marks the end of that part of planning. If you have any questions, if you have any insights that you have experienced at during your construction, please kindly share with me. If you have any questions, kindly also ask me on this video. Otherwise, if you haven't subscribed, kindly consider subscribing, and I will see you in the next video.